Greetings, viewers. Welcome to Music is a Journey. I'm Peter. It's time for me to tackle the unofficial vinyl tag of 2026, questions created by David Hutchison.
Atkinson. David Atkinson. It's David Atkinson.
Questions created by David. Thank you, David. This is my third time to try a vinyl tag. I did the one last year, which was created by Edwin, the green vinyl guy, and the year before that, the last of the series done by Rob Walker, the man who was in charge for many years. So, a different person each year. This is exciting, and I'm eager to give it a go. So let's take a look at the first question. Question number 1. Show your best purchase of 2025. Well, it's rather a challenge. I bought lots of stuff in 2025 that I was really happy with. I got deep into the Japanese shoegaze scene and I found a lot of albums I enjoyed immensely. However, there are two that I'm going to single out to answer this question. The first one, this is the debut album by a band called Plant Cell. It's called Landscape. Yes, this does have a lot of the typical shoegaze sound. You've got the layers of very fuzzy guitars giving an impression of like thousands of bumblebees, or perhaps music being processed through a jet turbine engine in a wind tunnel. But you also have those soft female vocals. Very beautiful music, actually. The thing that struck me about this album was, as I listened to it, I could imagine viewing series of landscape images. Back in the 1990s, I did multimedia presentations showing nature and landscape photographs synchronized to music. I was always on the hunt for music that was suitable for the type of scenery that I wanted to show in my presentations. Listening to this album brought back memories of looking at those different scenes of landscape photographs, putting them together, and choosing the music to go along with it. Of course, I probably wouldn't have chosen anything from this album for those presentations. I think most people wouldn't have tolerated the loud guitars. But again, I had that impression. A funny thing is, later on, when I read some background story of the album, the band said that they wanted to create music and songs that could inspire the impression of viewing landscapes. So they were very successful as far as I'm concerned. The second album I want to talk about is the debut album by a band called Luby Sparks. That's Luby with an L, not Ruby with an R. They are also a Japanese shoegaze band. They went off to England to record their debut album. This is from a few years ago now. I don't remember who the producer was, but the producer was either someone from Slowdive or from Ride, one or the other. So this does have a very English-produced shoegaze sound to it. We have female vocals and male vocals, and of course that soft quality, very beautiful melodies, but a certain somber atmosphere. Some of the songs are like Hateful Summer, Life of Misery, Farewell Lily. My favorite track on here is called Thursday, and you can find a video for that on YouTube, Thursday by Luby Sparks. The video was filmed in England. Unfortunately, the lead singer, Emily, she left the band after the release of this album. The band has since brought in a new singer who is also very good, but I really like this album here. There are several songs that I enjoy, same with Plant Cell. Most of the tracks on here I am very happy to hear. So two great purchases for me from 2025. Question number 2 is your favorite live musical experience of 2025. Well, it's very easy for me to choose. It's my daughter's piano recital. First of all, because I think my daughter did a splendid job. She's 14 years old. It is her 4th piano recital. Her teacher holds a recital every 2 years. Unfortunately, during the COVID years, there wasn't one. So this would have been the 5th. However, of course, as a young child, my daughter in elementary school performed pieces that were suitable for her age. However, 2 years ago, well, 3 years ago now, back in 2023, I was very impressed with the music she chose. It was a really beautiful piece. This year, she picked something that was very challenging. It was a fast-played piece. Her fingers must have been working lightning speed. And I remember during the summer, she was very frustrated because she had yet to master some of the more challenging parts of the piece. She thought she would have mastered it by then. However, she hadn't been able to, and she was worried she wouldn't be ready by November. She did a spectacular job in November. I do have a video of it, but I think she would be embarrassed and angry at me if I were to show you any of it. I did not attend any other concerts. While I was visiting Canada in November, my favorite band was playing in a venue downtown in Vancouver. I was this close to ordering a ticket to go, and then I found that the pricing was in American dollars, not Canadian, and then that just kind of, put the cap on it for me. Sorry, wasn't going. So my favorite live musical experience of 2025 was my 14-year-old daughter's piano recital. She did an excellent job. Question number 3 asks if my record collection, or in this case my CD collection, will be bigger 10 years from now, smaller 10 years from now, or about the same size. Well, the CD collection will undoubtedly be bigger. It's true that I've been thinking in recent years maybe I should start choosing which albums I really don't need to keep, but you see, I did that about 13, 14 years ago, and since then I have found people in the vinyl community showing albums that I got rid of and saying what great albums they are. And I didn't even save them in my computer, so I don't even have that to go back to. So I'm really hesitant to get rid of any more stuff. As far as getting new stuff, well, that's a problem. Each year I say I'm going to limit myself to just 2 or 3 CDs a month, and I end up limiting myself to 2 or 3 CDs a week just about. So terrible, terrible, terrible. Naughty me, order finger, shame on you. But yeah, certainly in 10 years, I'm sure it will be bigger. It's just, I'm recording this on January 3rd. I've already ordered 3 albums. Question number 4, you move to a new house. You put on an album and crank it all the way up to 11 to announce your arrival to the neighbors in the neighborhood. What album is it that you choose? Well, I live in Japan, and if we were to do anything like that, it would be called kinjo meiwaku. That means a nuisance to the neighborhood. So we don't do that kind of thing here. It is not cool. The last thing I want to do is to show up in a new neighborhood as a foreigner and give a bad impression. Doesn't matter how good the music is. So what I thought is I would turn the question a little bit. This is something I always fantasized about doing. What would I play on a Sunday morning when some Jehovah's Witnesses came to my house? おはようございます。Yes, I do speak English. Sorry? After I die? But this is my natural grave. That choice would be Cryptopsy, a brutal death metal band from Montreal, Quebec. Excellent choice for hopefully scaring away just about anyone with any religious agenda coming to my doorstep. Question number 5 says to show 2 albums, one for your favorite male vocalist, singer, and one for your favorite female vocalist or singer. I don't have any particular favorites. I do have several that I like. A lot of my favorite singers are favorites because during a certain period of their career, they were absolutely fantastic, like Ian Gillan, Rob Halford, Ronnie James Dio, Bruce Dickinson, Jeff Tate. However, I was thinking about this. There is one vocalist who, throughout his entire recording career, has impressed me in one way or another. He started out mostly singing very harsh vocals. Not quite death metal, not quite black metal, somewhere in between. He later on perfected his death metal growl, and it was exactly because of his vocals that I was able to begin to appreciate the death metal growl. Prior to that, I never liked it. Also, from the beginning, he did use clean vocals, but they were often very soft and a little bit timid. He admits that early on, he didn't really feel comfortable singing with clean vocals. However, in more recent years, his clean vocal style has been getting stronger and stronger. And on the last couple of albums, I feel he's handling the clean vocals really well with the style of music that his band is playing. I'm talking about Michael Akefeld, or Mikael Akefeld, of the band Opeth. Not probably most people's choice, but based on the criteria that I'm putting forth for him, he is a vocalist whose harsh vocal style I have always appreciated, and his clean vocal style is just getting better with age. This is from the band's second to most recent album, In Caudia Venenum, and honestly, this was a challenging album for me to get into. But since I reviewed all of Opeth's albums last year, and I went back to this one and listened to it 4 times, I now actually think this is a terrific album. So, for male vocalist, I choose Michael Akefeld of Opeth. And for female, there are several I could have chosen. I was really changing my mind day by day, but I'm finally going to go with someone I recently went back to listening to. It is Courtney LaPlante, the lead vocalist for the band Spiritbox. Spiritbox, in a video I saw about the top listened to the band, the metal band in each country with the most followers on Spotify, Canada's band was Spiritbox, and Courtney LaPlante is a fabulous vocalist. She sings her clean vocal style with a really warm, deep voice. She can sing high notes. She's very powerful, even beautiful as a pop diva, but she also does the harsh vocal style really, really well. So, thanks to Alex at Beer and Vinyl, who recently mentioned seeing Spiritbox in concert, it made me go back and want to listen to Courtney LaPlante again. I've since watched some interviews with her. I really like her. She's really cool. So for female vocalist, at this point in time, I'm choosing Courtney LaPlante of the band Spiritbox, formerly in a band called I Wrestled a Grizzly Bear. True. Question number 6 says, occasionally we love to have fun, so show your top 3 dance or soul records. All right, I am a metalhead, I am a prog head, I love stuff with lots of fuzzy guitar sound. I do also love very beautiful acoustic music. Dance music is not something I particularly go for. However, in my collection, I certainly have a lot of danceable tunes, such as As Good as You've Been to This World by Janis Joplin and the Cosmic Blues Band from her 1969 album, I Got Them Old Cosmic Blues Again. Or Golden Sun by the Vancouver band 5440. This is from their album Yes to Everything, which came out around 2005-ish. Excellent album. They are an alternative rock band who, on this album here, are embracing more of a 70s vibe. Could be a little bit like Rolling Stones in a way, but Golden Sun is an excellent danceable tune. And one more. You Outside My Window by Kinoko Teikoku, a band I really got into last year, and I ended up buying up their entire discography. 5 albums, a mini album, an EP, and a 3-song single. Excellent band from Japan, and really love this song. Question number 7 is a real stinker. Nominate a song that you really hate from an album that you like. Well, I wouldn't say there are any songs that I hate. There's certainly a couple in my collection that actually do make my stomach churn, and I have to hit the skip button. But I'm going to pick one here from Y&T's album Down for the Count. Y&T are, I think they're still active, just they've had no recent releases. Anyway, a hard rock band out of the US, formed in the 1970s, actually from the San Francisco area. In the early days, they were buddies with Journey. Pretty cool. They became a little bit more successful in the 1980s and produced a string of excellent melodic and hard-rocking albums. For this album here, Down for the Count, it included their hit single, Summertime Girls. Well, I don't know how much of a hit single it was, but it was a single, and it was released as an extra track on a live album they did, which was pretty strange. The band was not too happy with A&M Records for doing that. So, soon after that, an album was released, and this is a pretty solid hard rockin' album as well, including that very catchy, fun Summertime Girls song, which I admit I like. It's about guys going to the beach and looking at all the beautiful girls walking by and just thinking, I'm in love with her, and oh, now I'm in love with her. Yeah, fun song. But there is another track on here called American Boy. It is track number 2. In the same vein, it is more of a pop rock song with very catchy melody and keyboards and lots of fun, but I never really liked it all that much. It just sounded like where Summertime Girls was successful in what it was trying to do, American Boy just seemed to push it too far. This was not a song that Y&T should have been doing. Recently, I listened to the song again, well, a few months ago anyway, and I noticed something in the lyrics that I'd never really thought deeply about before. In one part of the song, the singer sings, "Eyes of blue and her skin is tanned. The girl next to me thinks that I'm all hands, and I'm gonna touch her everywhere I can, 'cause I'm a red-blooded, fun-loving, all-American boy." And I was just thinking about that now. If she thinks you're all hands, she probably doesn't appreciate it. She probably doesn't want you trying to touch her everywhere you can. So, while it's supposed to be celebrating youth and, hey, I love the girls and everything, I think you're just being a nuisance to her, and I bet she would rather like to smack you in the face and walk away. So I don't think that song lyric is very appropriate these days. To top it off, I never liked the song anyway, so yeah. All American Boy from Y&T's Down for the Count is the song that I really don't like from that album. Otherwise, solid album. Number 8, to pick one album from each of the last 6 decades, starting from the 60s and going up to the 2010s. I really did not want to overthink this one, because if I did, I could easily pull out dozens of albums for each decade. So I just thought, whatever's the first album that came to my mind. I think I'm happy with my selection. For the 1960s, I'm picking the debut album by Led Zeppelin. As a person who was really into heavy metal in the 1980s and enjoyed going back to find out the roots of heavy metal, I think this is a very important album. What came before that? Garage rock, British blues rock, psychedelic rock, heavy psychedelic rock. This album was the turning point where the heavy psychedelic rock changed into something much more. This is powerful hard rock. It is loud. The guitar sound is abrasive and scratchy. The drumming is intense. The bass player is intense. The vocals are powerful. There was nothing that sounded like this before. Blue Cheer, fantastic job for volume, distortion, and everything. But this album here just has a certain sound and style to it, so I think this is a great album, my pick for the 1960s. For the 1970s, I had several in mind, but this is the one that I gravitated to. This is Judas Priest's Sad Wings of Destiny, their second album. Like I said in a recent video about albums from 1976, this is a turning point in heavy metal. We are going from the heavy prog, heavy blues, heavy psychedelic styles of the earlier years, and something different is happening. The riffs, the guitar solos, the song structures are getting to be more like the heavy metal style that we would hear in the 1980s. Excellent, excellent album for that. So for the 70s, Judas Priest, Sad Wings of Destiny from 1976. I didn't want to pick the same band for 2 decades, but this album here for me is probably the most important album of the 1980s. This is where I went from liking AC/DC, loving AC/DC, and also enjoying some other hard rock tracks like Billy Squier and so on. But this album here told me that guitars could be played in a very different way. What riffs, what solos, what vocals. This was the album that firmly cemented me in the heavy metal camp. And that is Judas Priest, Screaming for Vengeance from 1982. The 1990s. Well, it was very tempting to talk about my favorite band, Sloan, but I've talked about them a fair bit recently, especially since they released an album just last September, and I did a video talking about their entire discography also just last November. So I'm going to go with Further Down the Spiral by Nine Inch Nails, but not exactly by Nine Inch Nails. The recordings for the Downward Spiral album put out by Nine Inch Nails were given to various other artists such as Aphex Twin and Coil and another fellow, and they were remixed and redone. And this was my first venture into heavy industrial music. So 1996, I was going through some important changes in my life, and I thought, let's give this a listen. And I really, really found it very interesting and exciting. And I still like going back to listen to it now and again. There were also 2 tracks that were completely new tracks that were created by Oh, the person whose name I can't remember. But overall, I found this was an excellent album, and in fact, I enjoy it more than the original album, The Downward Spiral. Only thing is, the very last track, it is erased over out, and it is just taking Trent Reznor singing Erase Me, Kill Me, and just stretching the vocals out so it sounds more like airplanes soaring through the sky. Maybe that track, I can kind of skip that one, but the rest of it, really cool. For the 2000s, the very first album that popped into my head is the debut album by The Darkness, Permission to Land. I remember a friend of mine showing this to me. I am a fan of 70s rock, 70s hard rock, and yeah, 70s glam rock to a point. And this album just seemed to go back to that 1970s, 1980s fun rock style with the crazy vocals going super high falsetto. Just really cool riffs, really good, powerful, fun songs. What a great album. I liked their second album as well, but this one here just had that much more to it. Songs like Black Shuck, what a great opening track. And there was a ballad on here. I Believe in a Thing Called Love was a great rocker. Love is Only a Feeling, fantastic ballad. Yeah, very, very cool album. And from the 2010s, I am going with the Norwegian prog band Wobbler. When I was really getting into progressive rock in 2011, 2012, I was looking to see who are the current progressive rock bands. This album came up suggested on Amazon. I bought it and I love it. It is still one of my favorite prog albums. Wobbler usually write one really long song of like 25 minutes long and then two shorter 10-minute long ones and a very short instrumental for their albums. This one here, they did a short orchestral instrumental at the beginning and at the end, and then 5 really great progressive rock tracks between 7 and 12 minutes long. Some people said it sounds a little bit too much like Yes, but Yes never used crumb horns and flutes and other instruments like that, woodwind instruments in their music. This is a great, great album. I'm going to take a break and move around the CDs. We are back with questions 9 and 10. You can spend a day on a mountain trail, on a beach, or hanging out in the city with any musical artist. Who would it be? Well, I would love to spend a day in the mountains with any musical artist who is willing to go with me, but my artist that I chose probably would be more comfortable spending a day in the park in the city somewhere, even just a local park. I'm talking about Yano Maki. That is Maki Yano to us Western folks who put the given name first and family name last. She started her career just around the same time that I landed in Japan back in 1999, and I have picked up all of her recordings, minus a live album and a greatest hits album. I have all of her singles, all of her mini albums, EPs, and full-length albums. She has changed her style in the last decade or so, a little bit longer. It's more adult, contemporary, acoustic type music now. Not quite what I'm into, but I really, really love her voice. And just, I feel she started her career the same time that I started mine in Japan. So I feel there's that kind of kinship there. I actually have seen her live and even got a letter from her when I sent her some photographs I took of her performing live in Virgin Records in Tokyo. So what would I ask her? Well, that's very simple.
ねえねえ、マキさんさ、2009年と2024年の間、引きこもごもと生きることという3曲のアルバムしか出してないんでしょ。だからその間にマキさんは何してたんですか？なんか体重悪かった？それか他のことで忙しかったんなの？
So yeah, I would definitely want to ask her that first question for sure. Otherwise, I could probably think of lots of other things to ask her as we walked and talked. Number 11, show a record or track that always brings a tear to the eye. Or are you a heartless bastard? Well, all right. I'm going to pick this one here. So a little while back, maybe a year or so ago, there was the Sad Bastard challenge tag thread thing. I didn't participate in it. But there is a song on this album here. This was the first of 2 albums by a band called Modabo from New Brunswick in Canada. They are 3 guys playing acoustic guitars and flute, singing in beautiful harmonies, very folk-like stuff with just a touch of old classic rock in a song or two. And there is a song on here called My Heart's Arrow. And it is about a guy who is leaving on a plane, flying far away from his love for 6 months, maybe more. And he sings to her, my heart's arrow is true, straight from me to you. Our love will always be. But there's a line in the song, it says, but nature's crooked and constants change. And she's got this feeling that he's never coming back again. And this is a particularly poignant song for me because I went through a relationship of 3 years living apart from the person that I was in love with. She was very instrumental in getting me from Canada over to Japan. 3 years apart, we hung on as best as we could, but there was a time I remember I spoke to her on the phone one morning and she said to me, I just can't feel the love for you these days. And that just sent me into a panic. I was taking lessons on how to teach English and I went to class that day and I just felt frozen in my seat. Normally I was making smart remarks, humorous ones, made the class laugh. That day I was just in a terrible, terrible state. I think it really did some damage to get through that. Eventually, though, we did meet up over here, but by then things had changed anyway. She had grown and matured and I hadn't. So we didn't last that much longer afterwards anyway, but I consider her very important in my life to get me over here. So that song there about having to spend 6 months or more apart and then constants change and that sort of thing, yeah, that brings back memories of that day where I just sat frozen to the chair in the class and couldn't really concentrate on anything all day long. Question 12, show 3 artists you tried to love, but you're wondering now why you ever bothered. I don't really do that. There are certain artists I just don't feel compelled to get into, even though other people talk about them. And there have been some albums I thought, well, okay, as part of my collection, it might be reasonable to get a hold of it and give it a shot. And if I don't like it, then at least I have that important album and I don't need to buy anything else. And so one of those bands is Meshuggah. Devin Townsend, he loves this band, and I've heard so much about them. So I looked at the Rolling Stone magazine list of the top 50 metal albums of all time that was out some years ago. Meshuggah was on the list, and this is, what is it called? Destroy, Erase, Improve. Meshuggah are kind of known for starting the djent sound as well. So I thought, yeah, I'll be into this album. This will be pretty good, but I've listened to it a couple of times and I just don't remember anything from it. And because of that, I've never gone out to get any of their other albums. I should probably listen to it again, but I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be rushing out to collect anything else. Similar on that list was System of a Down, their album Toxicity. I was never excited about System of a Down back in the day. I did buy this album maybe some 7-8 years ago. Yeah, it's interesting. There are a couple of songs on here that are, fun and kind of cool, but it's not a band that I'm going to be, again, rushing out to get anything else from. And if somebody says, oh, you got to get this album, I'm okay. I'm good. The only other band, I was thinking about Pantera as well, but I actually do like Pantera's older stuff from the 80s. So here's one. This is a band called Pain of Salvation. They are supposed to be a progressive metal band. I think it's Sweden, anyway, somewhere from up there. One of my friends really liked them and they get a lot of high reviews on Prog Archives. So I bought one and I thought it's okay. A couple of tracks I like, but not really for me. And then I heard, well, this other one is also really good. So I got this one and it was the same thing. Like I barely remember anything from these albums. And I just remember there's one thing in here, like somebody between the songs says, call your dad. And I thought, did he say call your dad? Why call your dad? I'm missing something. Anyway, those 3 bands. And there are others too. Let's move on. Number 13 is show an album from an artist who disappoints you, or can you separate the album from the artist? I actually had a couple of stories to go with, but I'm going to try to make this pretty simple here. Easy choice, Roger Waters. I quite like The Final Cut. I've always liked this album. There are a few tracks on here that I find are really powerful. I love The Wall. For me, The Wall is the motion picture. This is the made-for-TV movie. I like both of them. I don't listen to them often, maybe once every few years, but in doing so, it gives me this really wonderful experience that I'm experiencing a story through the music. However, yes, it's true that Roger Waters kind of got a big ego to his head and now he just says a lot of ridiculous things. Sometimes I try to sympathize with him a little bit with some things he says, but then he goes and shoots his mouth off and puts his foot in his mouth and all sorts of unpleasant things like that. And I think, okay, whatever. Anyway, I like to listen to the older Pink Floyd stuff when he wasn't such a dickhead. And I just think, all right, this is about the borderline, you know, this is when he was already starting to become a bit of a, you know, difficult person to work with. He's a kind of a creative genius. He's one of those people I call a visionary. He has ideas for how he wants his band to perform, what he wants them to do, and basically uses his band as the vehicle to carry out his ideas. That's great and everything, but yeah, you know, not a pleasant person, and I don't like a lot of what he says. But respect for what he did with Pink Floyd. Number 14, if you had to sell all your vinyl and your record player, show the one album you would hang on to as a keepsake. If it was a question about CDs, it would be too difficult. I have many CDs here that are difficult to replace and would be expensive to replace. However, if we're going to talk about vinyl, I always like to show at least one piece of vinyl in the vinyl tag. This is a band from England called Babel. This is their album, The Circle of Confusion of Tongues, which now goes back to, 2018. They are not what I normally listen to. However, I ordered some records from some CDs from Melodic Revolution Records some time back, and I had actually considered getting a Babel album, but I did not. And then the record label head cheese guy, Nick Katona, he sent me the CD for free. And I liked it so much, and so I ended up ordering other Babel stuff, and I made a video about them. And then the guitarist, Rob Williams, thought I should have this for all my efforts to help promote the band. This goes back to 2018 and 2019 now. Rob Williams, by the way, for those of you in the UK, you might know of a band called The Fans, going back to the late 70s. Rob Williams played guitar on this, same guy. So I would definitely keep that because I consider Rob my friend through Facebook and through our connections with music. He has also sent me something else, a CD for free before. And the vocalist Karen Langley, we are also connected on Facebook too. Both of them really cool, sweet people. So the Babel album stays. 15, discuss your VC highlight of 2025. Link a video if there is one. Was there a meetup? Was there an event? So, I don't go to any meetups. I'm here in Japan, so that makes it really difficult. I was not invited to do any collaborations or do anything with anybody this past year, 2025. I used to do something with Northern Revolutions. Rob there used to host this Canadian chit chat where 5 of us would get together and talk about our favorite Canadian music. But he didn't do that in 2025. It just seems the whole thing stopped. And I probably think it might have something to do with me. Nobody ever asked me to participate in anything, so I think it probably has something to do with me. There's something about my personality that just makes me seem undesirable or difficult to work with. Or maybe it's just a time zone thing. I don't know. But I did have a couple of highlights, and one of them was in a vinyl tag. I think it was the summer vinyl tag. One of the questions was to pick one channel to shout out or highlight. And Alex at Beer and Vinyl picked me. He picked Music is a Journey. I couldn't believe it. Of all the channels that Alex watches, all those cool people out there with fantastic, great taste in music and excellent record collections, he shouted out my channel. It was such a wonderful thing. I was so touched. I was like, Alex, I want to give you a hug. So, yeah, my VC highlight of 2025. No! Wait a minute, there was one other one. There was that David Attenborough video. I commented on a David Attenborough video and he replied to my comment.
Sir David Attenborough?
Yeah, I was so chuffed.
I think it was David Atkinson.
Sir David Atkinson? I haven't heard of him.
He's the guy who created this vinyl tag.
David Atkinson? Oh, really? Okay. Question 16, name your favorite music biopic if you have one. So last year, 2024, summer of 2024, I started listening to 5440 and I found out that they had contributed a song to a tribute to the soundtrack of a movie called Hardcore Logo. Hardcore Logo was based on a book. It is about a fictitious punk rock band from the West Coast, from Vancouver, and they made a movie about this band getting back together again for one more tour and all the troubles that they encounter along the way. The singer of the band is the singer for the band Headstones. He did a great acting job, and what a kind of a prick he is, really. He just wants to keep his lead guitarist and his band together to just have fun and be a punk rock band with all the struggles and dirt and everything and grime that goes along with it. Whereas the guitarist, whose name was Billy Talent, the name went to the band Billy Talent later on, who liked the character so much. He was more of a very personable guy. He could speak with the reporters, he could speak with fans, very down-to-earth, great guy who had ambitions to do more with his guitar playing, but his good buddy was holding him back. Anyway, very interesting story. I love the movie. You can watch the whole thing on YouTube, by the way. It is called Hardcore Logo. Yeah, I gotta watch it again soon. Number 17, give 3 reasons why jazz matters. I can do that. First of all, my childhood friend, Chris Gestrin. He became a professional jazz pianist. He is also a music producer, has his own recording studio. This is his album, the Chris Gestrin Trio. The Melody That Is. I went back to Canada in 2019 and I went to his studio. I did an interview with him. You can watch the video there. Jazz matters because my good friend from my childhood days became a jazz pianist, and he is an excellent, excellent musician. He actually guested on a Nickelback album. Interesting. He's also done a couple of soundtracks for some TV dramas or made-for-TV movies. Also, you're only supposed to show one album, but I want to show Beautiful Things by Lee Aaron. So Lee Aaron was a rock, hard rock, metal vocalist in the 1980s, an alternative rock vocalist in the 90s, and then things kind of went downhill for her. She borrowed a lot of money to start her own label. Things didn't work out well. She was in debt, she went bankrupt, and she was really depressed. But she loves jazz, she loves Nina Simone, and she was one day singing to a Nina Simone album, and her friend said, "Why don't you try doing jazz?" So she did. She put a band together. She recorded an album called Lee Aaron and the Swingin' Barflies, which was an all jazz covers album. And a year or so later, she did Beautiful Things, which is some original material, some roots rock or old blues, and some jazz covers. And this is a really wonderful album. So jazz matters because it saved Lee Aaron's career. Later on, she stopped for a while to be a mom, and she came back in 2016 with a new band and playing rock again. Still going strong. And the one other thing, before I touch the record behind me, the album behind me, one other thing I want to name: Black Sabbath, Yes, King Crimson, Bill Bruford, a whole bunch of these musicians, Steve Hackett, Alan Holdsworth. So many of the bands that I like from the 1970s were inspired by jazz as well. Classical music, jazz music, rock music. So jazz really matters because I think jazz was very important there in the late 60s, giving us all those wonderful progressive rock and early heavy metal bands. 18, you are an innocent person on death row. You get one last musical request. What would you ask for? Well, of course, I might ask for a complete album epic like Passion Play or Crimson by Edge of Insanity. I might also just choose a, to you kind of a song. But I decided, no. I'm going to choose something like Old and Wise by Alan Parsons Project from their album Eye in the Sky. As far as my eyes can see, there are shadows approaching me. And to those I leave behind, I want you all to know you've always shared my darkest hour. And that should leave everyone with a tear in their eye. Either that or somebody's going to say, cut this sad bastard crap and pull the switch. Question number 19, sell your favorite artist to a listener. Show one essential album they should get into. Okay, well, as I said, my favorite band is called Sloan. I did do a video back in November where I played a clip of a song from each of all their 14 albums. So for this one here, I'm going to do something a little bit different. Right, welcome to Find Your Band, where we use the latest in AI technology to help find the band that is just right for you. I use AI technology every day. I use it to help me decide how to comb my hair and how to get dressed in the morning. Sorry? What? Oh. You're right. That is very strange, isn't it? Pair of socks. Huh. What's even stranger is I have 2 cravats tied around my feet. Oh well, we'll get that sorted later. For now, let's take care of finding your next favourite band. All right. First of all, vocals or non-vocals? Vocals, yes, okay then. Are you looking for something more in the rock arena? Something under the rock umbrella sounds good, yes? So with vocals, do you want something clean and smooth? Something soft and whispered? Do you want something with a little more power? Energy, I like it. Yes, okay. So vocals with energy, right? Sounds very rock-like. Now then, guitars, keyboards, both? No keyboards, guitars. Guitars are your preference. All right then, guitars. Do you want acoustic, electric clean, or electric distorted? Something that rocks out a bit more, right? All right, distorted guitars, got that. How about for the rhythm section, the bass? Do you want a warm, soft bass? Do you want something a little more chunky or something that buzzes a bit? Good, solid, chunky bass. It is right then. I'll write that in there. Chunky bass sound. All right. And how about for the drums? Are we looking for a steady 4/4 beat or drummer with a little more versatility? You like the versatility. Great, great. So, versatile drummer. All right then. So, let's see what the AI brings up, eh? All right then, your new favorite band sounds like this. Oh, drat, that was Cryptopsy again. Moving on. Question 20. You're arranging a VC meetup in 2026, excluding people you have already met or are friends with. Name three people you would invite. Well, okay, just 3 people. Sorry? What's that? This? What's this? This is my property tax. Oh, would you look at that? It looks like I have won the Nenmatsu Jumbo, the year-end lottery in Japan, and I have just won 500 million yen. Oh my goodness. Well, that is something like almost $4 million, I think. Wow. Well, then I'm going to do the VC meetup of a lifetime. We are going to have a meetup in Wales because my friend, Nick Reese from the channel Careful with That Axugene is not really in the best of health conditions to travel, and I would certainly want to see Nick. So we're going to have a big meetup in Wales, and Nick is going to be there. And then I am going to invite because I'm paying for everything, everybody, I'm going to invite Brian from Embryonic Robot because he's got such a cool, interesting record collection. We're going to have Rob from Northern Revolutions, Daryl from the Northern Vinyl Guy, Joe, who used to be Racer Joe, I don't remember what his channel is now, and Curtis from Young LP Lovers, and Glenn Kellaway, and he can bring his friend Larry Graves along. These guys, who are part of the Canadian group. We're going to get Chris from Stylus Meets Vinyl, another great Canadian, and Jack out at Vinyl Martini is coming along. Loads of American people. We've got to have Chris Prophy, who is the whole reason why I'm in the vinyl community in the first place. Steve at ABC. Gary from Physical Female Rock and Roll. Ed, what the hell is on my turntable? Richard S. out in Colorado. Anthony Gambler, such a pleasant, fun, nice guy. Greg from 3 Dimensions, awesome guy, always commenting. Vinyl, Richie and Cosmic Brian, what a pair. Gonna get Craig at Spirit of Vinyl, Trevor at Flat Round and Spun, Mark at Twanger's Turntable, another Canadian, Mark Morris for another Mark, Steve from Steve's Vinyl Retreat. Steve, where have you been these days? Haven't seen you. We're talking with Vinyl Sean and Auditory Doug, Doug from Auditory Vinyl. We're gonna get the young folks like Jack, I don't even remember what his channel name was anymore, haven't seen him for a while, and Kyle from Stax Vinyl. We're going to get Emma from 8 Vinyl Low, and that guy that she does that Rock City Kitties video with. Got to get some young folks in there. Need More Women, MGK Boston and his wife Patty. Jack at the CD Cave and his wife Debbie. Catherine S. out there in Washington. You're invited. I want to get Christian from Santiago. I want to get Ben and Lloyd from Australia and Keith from Attack from Down Under from New Zealand. We're going to be all over there in Wales, and because we're in the UK, all you UK folks, Rob Walker, Greg at Vinyl Arms, you new guy, let's have you come along. Jack from the Vinyl Voyage, you have to do a quiz show for us. We need the guy out at Black Leather Eyes. We need David Atkinson, whoever that is. He's on the list here for some reason. We need Mike, Spinal Viral, Berwickshire Mike. Have those mics there. Get the Scandinavians over. Come on. Kim from This Is Music. Jakob at, I forget the name of your new channel now. Morton Astad, you got to come. Tommy's Vinyl Hunt, you got to come. There are other Scandinavians I don't remember right now. Everybody's coming over. If I did not mention your name, you're invited anyway. And because they're probably people I forgot, everybody gets to bring a friend. It's all on me because I won 500 million yen in the year-end jumbo. Back to reality. This is just my land tax payment that's due in February. Anyway, 3 people. Well, it's hard to pick just 3, so if I said your name, you're one of the 3. There we go then. That is my very long-winded effort in the Vinyl Tag of 2026. 20 questions, freaking long video. I'm sorry, everybody, but I'm going to do the CD tag next, and that one's only 10 questions, so we'll try to make it a lot shorter. Thanks, everyone, if you got all this way through to the end. And thank you to
David Atkinson.
David Atkinson for putting together the questions this year. It was a lot of fun. All right, everyone. Cheers. Take care. Have an excellent musical 2026. Bye, all.